EP TikToks that will question your reality. Let's roll.
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
Reducing population growth. That's this big benefit. The key thing you can do to reduce population growth is actually improve health.
In the developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations.
I would like to reduce the number of people on the planet because there's too many of us.
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
With too many people. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that. We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein. So in the next 5 to 10 years, to the next pandemic, we'll solve all those problems.
You say the next pandemic, there will be another pandemic.
Absolutely. We don't know when.
History teaches us that the next pandemic is a matter of when, not if.
We know what's next. We're going to have another major coronavirus pandemic before the end of this decade, before 2030.
If we really want to prevent the next pandemic, and there will be one, there will absolutely be an outbreak of another pandemic. It may be next year.
We need more money to plan for the second pandemic. There's going to be another pandemic. We have to think ahead.
We definitively will have to face other surprises, black swans, as they are called, maybe different kinds of viruses.
But also there will be a surprise outbreak. Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic.
What in the lizard people is going on there, peeps? I mean, they think that they can just say stuff. If they say it like happy, we won't understand the words that are coming. Man, no one understands the words that are coming out of your mouth. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, depopulation is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna stick needles in people. I mean, come on, man. I mean, we're listening to that, right? This is what woke me up. This is the start. This is really where I started going down, and it probably was the motivation to me actually starting this channel. But then, all the issues that you get with doing this sort of stuff, it just sort of progressed from there, really. But yeah, crazy stuff, really, when you listen to it. 10 years ago. We're 5 years down. What road are we going down?
The government has an agenda. We're not in it. We are not in this agenda.
What do you think the agenda is?
I think it's to ruin us. This C40 15-minute cities is the agenda you've got to be focused on. We somehow got to stop this agenda from happening because it's going to 90 countries around the world. So if you think you can run to Dubai and live your freedom life, ain't going to happen.
No.
In Saudi, they've already built the line. They were building these huge complexes. You can't get out of them.
Mad, isn't it?
But in your 15-minute city, imagine I want to come and see you for a podcast. You can't drive a petrol or diesel car. You have to buy electric. Not that I think cars will be around. You'll have taxis and stuff. You won't be able to buy the food you want to buy. You'll get a calorie-controlled diet. You can't fly anywhere, maybe once in 3 years if you're lucky. You can't get any clothes, sustainable clothes. You have to keep your clothes for around 3 years before you're allowed to buy anything.
Wow.
You can't go to the cash machines and draw out as much money as you want. You'll be told your businesses will close down.
So this agenda, like, number one, where have you come across this? And number two, when you talk about this now, what is the comeback you're getting? Is it, this is a lie? This is not true? Are they denying it? Like, what is it?
Why did they create C40 15-minute cities that no one even knows about. The name itself is hidden. Who is ever going to know about 15-minute cities? C40 doesn't just pop up. This was an invention by Ken Livingstone, I think, or he was told to get it going, but then Khan got in and started implementing it during the COVID period. It was hidden from us. He's gone to 80 mayors around the world to join. And these mayors are similar to him. They have full autonomy. Mayor of New York. If you go to the c40.org website, c40.org, I urge everybody to have a look at it. c40.org. You will see a beautiful, glossy, standard website, and it will just show you about sustainability, climate change, all of these things. And they will not talk about you being locked in a 15-minute city.
This to the
Yeah, it cracks me up. The old 15-minute city. Like, I love the idea of it. 15 minutes, having everything on your doorstep that you can get to. Doctors, shopping malls, airports, whatever. Everything. Oh, great. And they were talking about it, and they were piloting something in Oxford in the UK. But the first thing that they wanted to do was put up bollards and put in cameras. I mean, you got to build the infrastructure first, right? Surely, like, how are you going to get anywhere if you've got no like? Yeah, I mean, come on, man. They protested that. I don't know what actually happened with that, whether they ever went ahead with it, because everybody in Oxford kicked off, and this is a place in the UK. But yeah, you can't even say the name. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, he's just mentioned that, which is probably going to be a big issue for this video tonight on getting pushed out on the algorithm.
migrants coming in and people that support this.
This is David Icke.
Don't believe for a second that the government, the cult that controls the government, cares a bloody damn about you. You're coming from countries, some of you anyway, that have been, over the period since the George Bush era, the boy George Bush era, and before the father Bush era and the Cheney era, that have been bombed into the Stone Age by the West and Western governments. You think they suddenly care about you? They couldn't give a damn. To you, you're just a pawn in their game to be played off against the indigenous population to create the chaos, the conflict, and the trauma. That is exactly what they want, because we have seen in this early Starmer era something I coined back in the 1990s: problem, reaction, solution. You create the problem covertly, like, oh no, it's not orchestrated, all these migrants coming in illegally, it's not orchestrated. It is. You covertly create the problem. You then get the reaction, do something. And then you, who've covertly created the problem and glean that reaction, then openly offer the solutions to the problems you have created. And those solutions are always a advancement towards this global dystopia.
Interesting, right? Because we have apparently immigration problem. Yet we heard about immigration coming in and staying in hotels and being paid, and now the digital ID is apparently to prove that you can work in the UK. And I think we all know it's a complete and utter farce. It is a shizzle show. We don't actually like. I don't think anybody actually is fallen for this. Like, I'd be very surprised how we if this goes ahead. I'd be very surprised. If it does, then yeah, I would be shocked. With a digital ID, I'm talking about, peeps, in the UK.
About
digital IDs,
all these years,
censorship, all of that.
Right. So if you look at recent events, having brought people into conflict, they say people People are rioting in the streets, and they're posting things on Twitter, and that's riling everybody up. And so we've got to what? Censor. We've got to jail people for their opinion. Now, if you are openly calling for violence and calling for attacks, well, there's laws against that. Okay. And you know, where's that going to take us? Where do you think that's going to take us? You're just playing the cult's game. But an opinion that this unchecked influx of young adult men illegally entering the country, clearly systematically, in Ireland too, that opinion is valid. It's valid because how are we going to cope with an endless number of people coming in and the services that are going to collapse as a result? Very simple. Turn on a tap, put a jug underneath it, right? Don't turn the tap off. What's going to happen? The jug's going to fill up, and then it's going to overflow. And the more the water flows, the more it's going to overflow. That's what happens when there's no end to something. And the plan in the United States and in other countries, but here too, big time, is that is not meant to end. It's meant to continue because they want to wind this country up and wind it up and wind it up until it is basically a civil war. And that's where it will lead eventually, because it's a simple thing. I've observed this all over the world so many times. If you ignore people's legitimate concerns, if you ignore the injustice that they're pointing out, then you are going to give those people eventually a choice of accepting the injustice and the concerns indefinitely ongoing, or they're going to turn violent, right? And what they want us to do is to turn violent.
Interesting, because if you look at what's behind it all, for me, like the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, they all sit in behind. But Donald Trump in America has actually cut ties with the World Health Organization, which I think is a massive step. And actually what is going on in America right now could be seen as a positive, that he's clearing that out. So, mass immigration, and then, use a divide and conquer tactic, because if we're arguing with each other about certain things, then they can come in and offer their solution. And I think that actually Donald Trump might be clearing it up in America, but in the UK, not so much. You know what I mean?
And talk, because I'm on the phone inside my hand. I am the phone. This is what phones are going to be from now on. I've integrated. Thank you for your call. Subdermal implants. They charge themselves with motion like a self-winding watch. And it's on the 22 network. I get signal across 95% of UK mainland, 98% by next year.
I wanted to ask when you all think we're going to move from this form factor to something that's on your face, glasses, and when computing's all on the edge.
I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface. Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
When we meet for the 20th Governance Summit, you will use the app like Uber, but not anymore to call some driver, but automatically guided car, a self-driven car, will come to your hotel or wherever you are and will bring you to the airport. No, Los Angeles is one of the cities with the heaviest traffic. Who told me in 2030, Los Angeles will be private car driven free.
Yes, you just heard that correct. Apparently by 2030, Los Angeles will be private car driven free. What does that actually mean? Does it mean that people will no longer be able to own a car? Does it mean that people will be forced to use these robotic cars that just come to your doorstep and pick you up? And how could they achieve this all by 2030? Wouldn't the entire infrastructure of Los Angeles need to change to support this idea of automatic cars? And how would you get the entire infrastructure of Los Angeles to change? Maybe a fire. Maybe a fire would do it. You know, I try and avoid going too deep down the rabbit hole in these sorts of videos. I'm trying to keep things more on the surface level, things that have scientific proof backing it up. So I'm not going to go too deep, but you can come to your own conclusions about these things. When you start looking at the bigger picture, you start being able to connect all these different dots. So let's look at the positive side of what these self-driven cars could do. Yeah, okay, maybe they would reduce emissions. Maybe they would all be electric. Perhaps now you would be able to do some work instead of just focusing on driving. My biggest concern is I currently view my car as a source of freedom. You know, I love to travel. I surf constantly. I go for hikes. A lot of the things I do are in very remote corners of this world. A lot of traveling on gravel roads that don't even exist on any Google Maps or anything like that. How would I still get to these places in a self-driven car? I imagine these cars would utilize a software like Google Maps or something like this. Would these self-driven cars be able to go to these remote places? Or will we be limited to where these cars can take us? And could these cars just be shut off at random? Like, let's say there's a bunch of people who have organized a peaceful protest or something like this, and there are organizations who didn't want this protest to happen. Would there be any way of stopping these people to get to this protest by just simply not allowing?
Yeah, we can manage and control anybody's CO2 emissions as something else that they were coming out with. You know, you'll have no privacy, basically, is what they were saying. You'll own nothing and be happy.
These cars to work? I don't know. But I think these are questions that we should be very, very wary of.
If you own nothing and you're going to be happy, I mean, how do they get everything off you in the first place? Because there's a lot of people that own homes, right? And I know it's less and less because of what's going on with the prices of houses everywhere. But something radical has got to happen between now and 2030.
Take a look at the writing on the wall, and quite literally this time. This was over here seen in Tel Aviv, talking about Cyrus the Great is alive, with a picture of none other than the POTUS himself, and it says it, Cyrus the Great is alive. You see the American flag and the Israeli flag being meshed together, juxtaposed together. And this is why, guys, I often spoke when people would ask me, who do I believe Mystery Babylon is? My pastor taught me that Mystery Babylon is Jerusalem. Whether you agree with that or you don't, I don't really care. But one thing I can say is that you see a lot of similarities between Mystery Babylon and the current system that's being upheld in America. And that is why I've always sort of believed that Mystery Babylon will be joined together. It will be almost like a mix of America and Israel. Now, whether that's 100% sure or not, that's up for debate. What do I know? But what I can tell you is that they are calling him Cyrus the Great. If you don't know who Cyrus the Great is, he was the pagan Gentile king who allowed the Israelites, those who were the children of Israel, to rebuild the temple. This was the second temple that they were being allowed to rebuild. He's greatly revered by the Jews because he allowed this to happen. Guys, do you think Donald Trump will be a modern typology of Cyrus, and he will erect or allow them to erect the third temple? Not the second, like the real Cyrus did, but will he be a typology? Will he fund that project? If you guys don't know, Donald Trump, he is a real estate guru. He's a real estate man. This is what he's done before we knew him as the president. So let me know your thoughts down below. This is writing on the wall, literally. And I know we always use that figure of speech, but guys, this is really being broadcasted. If you can't see what's on the horizon, you have to get your eyes open.
Here we have all the...
I have no idea what's going on there, peeps. You're going to have to fill me in the comment section. But this don't look good at an airport.
EES machines ready to scan your fingerprints and your faces as part of the entry exit scheme.
I believe that's in the Shanghai, like Europe.
I've never had anybody to talk to about this, but I fully believe that in 2023, I died. So I think I died in 2022. And from this event, I figured out it probably wasn't my first death. Let me explain. So in 2022, my daughter was going to this special magnet school, which required me to take her to school. I had to drive her and pick her up. So every day, every morning, same routine, and in the afternoon. So at 3 o'clock is when I would leave to make sure I had to go pick her up on time. So around about 2 p.m. on this particular day, I started to get real sleepy. And I was like, man, I didn't want to go to sleep because I knew I had to pick her up at 3 o'clock. So, but for some reason, it was like I was forced into a sleep. Like I could not contain myself. I had to go to sleep. Like it was forcing me. So before I knew it, I was asleep. Well, time went by and all of a sudden I awakened maybe like 30 to 40 minutes later. But the crazy thing is when I awakened, I had no clue who I was. I was not the same person. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was at. My place did not look the same. I just didn't understand. I get up and I'm walking around and I'm like, it's something I need to do. What am I supposed to be doing? So like I said, slowly, it was the strangest situation. Slowly my memory's coming back to me. And I'm like, okay, I need to get in the car. But the crazy thing is I didn't know where I was going. So I get the keys and I get in the car. Now I'm driving around, but I don't know where I'm going, but I know I need to do something. I'm slowly gaining memory back, but I still don't know where I'm going. So I'm driving around. And I'm like, I know I'm supposed to do something. I'm supposed to pick somebody up, but I don't know where. So after about an hour of driving around, finally, I'm like, okay, I need to go to the school. So I get to the school and I'm already over an hour late. Now, granted, I pick her up on time every single day. I'm over an hour late. So now I get there and when she gets in the car, she's like, Mom, what happened? So I'm telling her about this crazy thing that just happened to me. The strangest part about that is ever since this happened, everything between me and my children have changed because they're telling me about memories and telling me about stuff. And I'm telling them, I never said that. We never had that conversation. And they're like, yes, Mom, we did. And then I'm telling them about stuff and they're saying, what are you talking about? That never happened. And it's so strange. So I don't know if like I switched timelines or something, but something strange happened on that day. But it brought me back to the memory of my continuous death, in which I'll get to in another video.
Look, guys, I've been warning
I have wondered if I've died a couple of times in my lifetime as well. And that I just switched into another timeline. Quite possible.
this for a few weeks. First, it was you'll need digital ID to get a job to stop illegal migration. A lie. Now, it's your money, your kid's school, and your everyday life, all tied into a government-controlled ID system. A system, by the way, that the UN targets for its 2030 plan. You will own nothing and be happy. And the WF state should be an aim for every single human on the planet. And just as Labour quietly pulls the plug on a spy-in trial so that it collapses, so that they can keep things cosy with China, the China-Britain Business Council has set up working groups focused on this digital economy, data utilisation, regulation and governance. Yes, your future ID system is being workshopped with China. Could it get any worse, guys? When Starmer smiles about this brave new world, remember what digital ID really means. They will track what you buy, where you go, what you say. And if they don't like it, it might sound far-fetched, but they will switch you off. Call me a conspiracy theorist again.
When was the... Let me tell you what I just learned. Every single person in Israel who gets born, they get a fat check on the day of their birth.
How fat?
Not only that, every single month, their mom is given a check to take care of them. So they are incentivized to have more children. Every child they have, they get a check from the government, but that government gets the money from us. We're funding it. We have an all-time low birth rate because we cannot afford to live. We can't afford to have kids and raise them in the way that we want them to be raised. But our taxes are going to fund another country.
Is that true?
To have kids, but it doesn't stop there. Every single month, money is put into a trust for that child. Every single Israeli child has a trust. And the money comes from us. On their 18th birthday, they have access to that trust and they're expected to invest that money. Where are they going to invest? In us. So we're essentially paying them to enslave us.
The funniest prank is when everyone tells you that you should go to school and then go to college and put yourself in severe debt. And then they're like, guess what? There's no jobs for you because you've been replaced by robots.
Not too far. Not too far away. Oh man, look at this guy's feet. What on the hoof is going on?
Smoking.
Ave María, eso está cayendo vivo.
Seems fishy here, people.
Okay, so hold up. Now you're telling me not only do we have plasmoids in the sky and drones searching for the plasmoids, but now we have a vortex under the ocean where another civilization has been living for generations? I feel like every day I wake up to something new and something crazy, but at the same time, something that I believe because I believed it in my core being for my entire life. But these creatures apparently were discovered. An investigation under the water happened, and they found this civilization that's been there for decades. At what point are we going to get photographs and like HD video of all of this? Because I can see it in my mind's eye, but I need to see it and I need physical proof of it. So have you guys heard of this civilization that's now under the water?
Yeah, we're probably funding that
I can't keep
civilization
up with
too.
things.
For sure.
Oh my days. Oh my diddy. The ocean holds many secrets. And in 1985, just off the island of Yaguni in Japan, some deep sea divers made an amazing discovery. And you ain't gonna believe what they found. Now, nobody knows for sure
Fish
who
King.
built
It's Aquaman, isn't it?
but some people believe they're pre-Atlantean. They even found pyramids down here and other structures. These ruins are estimated to be over 3,000 years old, maybe even older.
Why have I not heard
So
of this?
much of our ocean is still yet to be explored, and so many more ruins are still yet to be found. The question is, will we ever find them all?
Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, please look me up. I'm a whistleblower. We live in a square like the Brady Bunch, and in those other squares are different civilizations. Space is fake. It's all it is a sailing. 3I Alice is on its way back. That's actually the Anunnaki. They realize the Greys have a soul catcher on the moon, and they've been fucking trapping us for thousands of years. The Anunnakis found out about it, and they're coming back.
Great. So we've got the choice between the Anunnaki that have put us enslaved to gold, to dig for gold, or we're in a soul trap by the grey aliens, from the sounds of it. That's not a good choice. Is there any good people here? Is there any cowboys that come in, save the day, you know what I mean? Or Indians? Or if they come together, if the Indians and the cowboys come together, God, they'd be a force.
Drones going back and forth. Those aren't really drones. Those are fallen angels. Listen, God is real. Jesus is real. George, please hit me up, man. I got information for you. I got to go. I've been being looked for right now. But like Elon Musk and Incorporated, those guys, those are reptilians. They manipulate our brain and make us think they're really humans, but they're not. They're reptilians. This world is bonkers, guys. That's why over at Skinwalker Ranch, they've been digging into the ground. It's all technology. Underneath the ground is technology, and underneath that ground is a different civilization. Guys, it's weirder than you think. I gotta go. George, hit me up.
It's like someone's trying to destroy England.
It's
literally like...
Yeah, we're going to end this show with Joe Rogan summing up what's going on in the UK right now.
They've got a concerted effort to destroy England, and they're getting away with it.
Yeah, and what happens over there?
It's really crazy. It's really crazy to watch because the mass immigration's not an accident. It's not. If I was going to destroy a country, I would do it exactly the way they're doing it. Yeah, these motherfuckers are pushing digital ID on these people. And once they do digital ID, they're going to attach it to a social credit score. They're going to attach it to a carbon footprint score. And then they'll be able to control your movement and control you entirely. And most importantly, they've already arrested 12,000 people for social media posts.
Well, that's bonkers, peeps. Make sure to share this video. Help it get out there. End of the show, peeps. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate the support. Have a good morning, even afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And I'll see you again tomorrow.